There are three primary reasons that we see companies looking at SaaS. The first one is limited IT resources. And this is pretty indicative when you look at small, medium-sized businesses where there's not a lot of resources that can be used to implement and deploy on-premise software. The second element that we see is capital expenditures. Again, small, medium-sized businesses are affected like any other business as it relates to the economy. They don't have a lot of excess capital budget. Therefore, when you look at software as a service as an operating budget item, they can more easily get and consume the SaaS service from an operating expense perspective. And the third and final one is time to deployment. When you look at small, medium-sized businesses, typically their requirements aren't overly complex, and this naturally lends itself for SaaS. In that, with software as a service, you can get functionality and capabilities up sooner versus later in a more incremental fashion, that these small businesses can get value sooner versus having to wait for a longer deployment. Well, one of the main hot areas of SaaS, software as a service, is in Salesforce automation. And if we look at the history of deployments of Salesforce automation, there was a lot of frustration built up with VP of sales and sales operations waiting for the IT department to actually deliver them capabilities. In often cases, those capabilities were either delivered late, maybe overly complex, and usually you had issues with user adoption. What software as a service does, it actually puts more power in the hands of the business executives to implement and take control of the implementation. Benefits of that is that they get more control of configuring the app and better tailoring it to the user's needs. Now, this doesn't completely alienate the IT business relationship. What it does is it changes the nature of the relationship. So now IT can focus on specific things that they know and do well, integrating with on-premise data sources, on-premise applications, and possibly integrating with other SaaS applications to bring more value to the salespeople. Well, there are three primary factors that I would tend to look at. The first one is the tools that the provider offers for administration and configuration. One of the key value benefits of SaaS is that the business can actually maintain and configure the application. What this allows is that you can be more responsive to users' needs as they come in and get requested. The second issue that we see as far as one of the key criteria is, does the provider have a good track record operationally? Keep in mind now that a lot of your mission-critical data and usage of the application will be outsourced by the provider. What that means is, does the provider have a good track record for security, for privacy, for disaster recovery, for keeping the application up and running? These are all considerations that you should understand their track record and how they're going to report on that going into the future. The third element is particularly important for small, medium-sized businesses, as they typically start with Salesforce automation and then want to add other elements, for example, incentive compensation. Does that provider have an ecosystem of services that could be added on in addition to what they offer? So it's very important to understand not just what you initially had deployed, but where is the roadmap of where you may want to go into the future.